Brian is Executive Director, Office of Workforce Development, accomplished guitarist and singer, artist, and a fellow Mississippian who has a long track record workforce development. And how much of that at CME are you going to bring over to establish kind of the template for the office itself?
I think we're going to bring as much as makes sense. The philosophy of the CME was to bring the right people to the table that had experience, and those of us that worked at the CME were just to listen to the needs. So this was industry, these were economic developers, and these were educators from a variety of different places that were telling us this is how we need to do it. So this office, I'm all ears. Yeah. My job is to listen.
John, another young guy and full of a lot of enthusiasm, will be with me coming up on Tuesday. But we just had the Milwaukee, we were talking to the governor about it yesterday, the Milwaukee tools. Those things, they can happen. We have all the ingredients there.
Sure. It's just the partnerships that you need to develop, and Milwaukee Tool is a great example. Milwaukee Tool has been an incredible partner, even at the CME, the Center for Manufacturing Excellence. As I worked there, they poured themselves into our students. And I think that's what you're going to find, that the industries that recognize they have to put a little skin in the game of taking time to pour themselves into students, that's the secret ingredient. And when you get out of the way and let industry and students understand one another and work together on projects in the classroom, give them co-ops, internships, if you get out of the way, great things can happen. And Milwaukee Tool is a great example of that.
When you finally got the word, okay, you're going to be it, your mind had to be spinning because there's so many different things that you had to collate and you had to coordinate and collate.
Yes, sir.
Within the mind of, how do I do this? How do I hit the ground running as fast as I possibly can? I would think if it were me, I would think, first of all, what are we doing right? What are we doing wrong? Do we know what we're doing right? And do we know what we're doing wrong? Who are the people to give me this information? How fast can I get it?
Sure.
So we can be on the road of doing those wrong things right.
Exactly.
It sounds simple, but it isn't.
It is, and yet there's this tremendous amount of information to digest. This is my second week on the job. I just got a trash can in my office last week. I actually got and actually have a chair in my office now that other people can come visit me. So there is so much to digest, so much to actually take in. But the great thing is, you mentioned Jackie Turner. She's been she and her staff have been incredible to help me better understand. And along with other departments, I might add, to help me understand the landscape, to assess, to do the very thing that you just said. We need to assess what is working, identify those things in which continuous improvement can take place, and we can make improvements. So I've hit the ground running, but we're doing this for the long run. This is for the long game.
Which, working together with people like Dr. Mayfield at community colleges, Jackie, and so many others in the state.
Sure, yeah. In fact, I have a meeting later today with Dr. Mayfield, and this will be the second or third time we've actually had great conversations. So, yeah, it's a partnership.
Are you, and again, with 2 weeks, you'd have to gain this at CME, but do you see where could be some improvements in different areas? And again, you can't judge Northeast Mississippi by Northwest Mississippi. The regions are different. The workforce different. Everything is a little bit different. But can you see where some of the community colleges need this, should have this, or don't need this?
Yeah, so the community colleges in particular, they're such an integral part of this. They provide so much of the workforce training, both credit and non-credit type courses being offered at all of the community college campuses. Oftentimes, I think they probably unfairly get painted as the boogeyman sometimes when we don't meet metrics that we think we need to. But here's one of the things I do recognize about it. There's a lot of great stories coming out of the community colleges that we need to do a better job of telling those stories for them and with them. We need to hear from them. This is where we think we're doing well. Let's hear from their industrial partners. What do the industrial partners say? And if they again, whether it's Meridian Community College or Northwest Community College, if they have strong industrial partnerships, they're going to hear that input. We can use that input to help shore up some of those areas in which they know they need to improve, and celebrate those areas in which they have great success.
I think where we are and where the industries are, and I'm not sure about this, but automobiles in some areas, Navy, the shipyards.
Sure.
We are in those community colleges have already tooled up and are doing what we need to do there.
Right.
There might be a couple of places where we could do it better, but the other part of that is working with the private sector KLM is a perfect example.
Absolutely.
Can we increase that? Are we doing that?
Sure. And I think there are any number of examples. Was it Meridian Community College last week had a story that they posted about their partnership with Mississippi Power and a lineman program that they had just created. Yeah. So I think there are lots of companies that are willing to put themselves in this position of let's work more closely, let's have more dialogue. And those companies that don't just simply say, we need this, go do it. It's, we need this, how can we help you do this? How can we help you achieve what these needs? Those are the success stories that you're going to see, and I think we can replicate that across the state.
Right. Has the student 13 years ago that you got in the first class changed from this year's students?
So I definitely, yes. I mean, I think that's absolutely. I think there are probably a lot of variables that go into that. But I had 27 students in the CME in that first class, all of which were mechanical engineers. And this is, remember, the Center for Manufacturing Excellence. We're teaching engineers the language of business. We're taking business and accountancy students and teaching them the language of engineering, the Rosetta Stone being manufacturing. Yeah. I could convince all day long a mechanical engineer, wouldn't it be great to take some marketing classes, some management classes? They thought that was great. If I talked to a marketing student and said, wouldn't you like to take some process flow, some standardized work, and maybe even material science, they run in the opposite direction. What you're seeing now, more and more students understand they have to diversify and they have to develop skill sets outside their comfort zone if they're going to be competitive in a very competitive job market.
I think the key thing, and we've talked so long about this with Dr. Mayfield and others, is finding that thing that you love to do. And that's very difficult to do, especially I don't care if you start at 9 years old or ninth grade or 10th grade. That's a very difficult thing to do. I was lucky. I knew what I wanted to do. You found something that you love to do. I don't know how we arrive at that. I do know that Dr. Mayfield and the group had this wonderful magazine that they put out, and I thought it was a great idea. It kind of introduced the kids to the opportunities out there in school. But when you look at the successes that you go back and see at CME on your term there, your tenure there, what would you say some of the successes were?
Well, I mean, we were honest with students too, and I, one of I think the elements, my colleagues at the CME, especially if they're listening right now, they're going to laugh because they heard this ad nauseum all 13 years. We would always try to help students find the intersection of three things: your passion points, your abilities, and where those two things intersect the job market. Right.
Yes.
So I don't want to. If you want to be a neurosurgeon, but you can't stand the sight of blood, I want to try to encourage you as much as I can. You might be able to overcome that. But if you have a passion for something, but you don't have a natural proclivity or ability, I'm not going to purposely dissuade you from it. But I want to try to focus more on those things where we see you've got an ability and a passion point. Let's see on the job market where that's going to line up, and let's put you on a path to get you there.
I never remember taking any test when I was in school about what I would be good at. My wife said she did, and she came out as a jet mechanic for some reason.
Man, good for her.
But I'm thinking, I always thought about that, and I said, well, maybe we just couldn't afford it at Shaw School. Or secondly, I wasn't paying attention and happened to be out working that day.
Yeah.
But do we do that anymore?
My assumption, and assumptions are dangerous, I'm sure we do. But I think, I took that. I was a sophomore, junior at Long Beach High School, go Bearcats. And but it was one test. It was one test on one day.
Yeah,
I never heard of it again. Right. So the programs that are successful are those that take the long run approach, long game approach to say we need to actually shepherd our students from a much earlier age. Because, of course, I wanted to be a Major League Baseball player when I was 13, and I thought I was going to do that. That obviously didn't pan out. I need someone to shepherd me and walk alongside of me to help me as my interests change, as my abilities and proclivities change where careers are concerned. I need someone to help me over a longer period of time of finding those intersection points.
It is disheartening. The first of the week, we had one of our leadoff stories or the university's announcement that tuitions are going to go up again. It's a very difficult environment. It's a cultural change. It's a ship turning in the ocean. It doesn't turn on a dime. It takes a while to do that. But we've gone through a long period of time. If you didn't go to college, you were a failure or somewhere in between. And I think it's turning around now, but
I think so.
it takes time. And I used to think it was only the kids, but I think it's more so sometimes the parents.
Sure.
If they went to college, their father and mother went to college, or if they didn't, they want their kids to go to college.
Absolutely. I mean, parents want their child to be successful.
Yeah.
They want their child to be healthy, but we've got to redefine what success is, because success can mean a lot of different things, and sometimes that success only takes a 2-year program or even just several weeks of training.
Yeah.